What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I was debating about whether to do a video or whether to just post this in the community section. But I decided, hey, she was a significant enough figure. Let me go ahead and do a little video. So you may have heard by now, Barbara Wawa is no more. She's gone. She's out of here. She died today at the age of 93. And I knew this was coming because I read a report, I think it was back in September, that she was in her last days, literally her last few months. She was basically confined to a wheelchair. She was pretty much a human skeleton. She lost so much weight. Frail, 93 years old, suffering from severe dementia, heart disease. Didn't really remember who she was all the way. She kind of remembered that she was a news personality. Didn't remember people. Surrounded by caretakers and pain. The last 6 or 7 years of her life were painful ones. All right. I'm not fond of Barbara Walters. I'm not. I grew up watching her, like a lot of us did back in the 80s and 90s. I remember her mostly from 2020. But as I got older and read more about her, I just don't like the woman. I think that she was an opportunist. I think she slept her way to the top, literally. She had a lot of affairs with men that she interviewed. She would sleep with a celebrity in a minute if that would be enough to nail an interview, as she did with Richard Pryor and various other people. She could be devious. She could be cold-hearted. If you got on her bad side, she could try to ruin your career. A lot of people that worked with her did not care for her. Some of her interviews were unfair. People that come to mind are, of course, Louis Farrakhan, a person that she interviewed. I remember this interview vividly because it was April 22nd, 1994, which is the same day that President Nixon died. Because I remember they preempted that interview to talk about old Tricky Dicky kicking the bucket. She didn't treat him right in the rebroadcast of this show, that interview, trying to make him out to be some type of, making him out to be an anti-Semite and demonizing his name and making him out to be some conspiracy theorist. What's funny is that there were rumors that she tried to sleep with the dude, and that's another thing about Barbara Wawa. Apparently, she loved black men. All right? She loved black men. She slept with a lot of black men. But of course, back in those days, it's not something you broadcasted, right? Because, people like her worried about her careers. Their careers. But she slept with a lot of fucking men, man. Richard Pryor, John Warner, the former senator from Virginia, Edward Brooke, the first, was he the first elected black senator from Massachusetts? Who else? Alan Greenspan. She slept with, I forgot some of it. It was so many people that she'd have hooked up with. I mean, that's her business, but, that's what she did. She used her natural born advantages to get to where she got. I'm not saying she didn't have any talent, but a lot of people just didn't like her, man. She oftentimes asked people a lot of hardball questions. She often would ask people questions that were not part of the prearranged interview process. She was everything that Larry King was not. I love watching Larry King because Larry King was fair. He could be firm, Uh, and another thing Larry King didn't do is that he didn't overtalk people. Usually, she would also often overtalk people. Interview, interrupt them when they're answering her fucking question. But trying to remember, she was born in 1929, even though she claims she was born in 1931. She broke into the news broadcasting business. What was it? In the early 60s. By the mid 1970s, she was a co-host of the ABC Nightly News. I think her co-host initially was Harry Reasoner. He did not like working with her, I think she spent some time on NBC. But like I said, me personally, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I remember her being on ABC. And then, of course, in the latter stages of her career, she hosted The View. But yeah, I ain't really got much to say about this one. I just reported it because she's a significant figure. But at the end of the day, other than the fact that from a historical standpoint, she was the first female co-host of a major news program, that is significant. But other than that, I really didn't care for her at all. Anybody outside of Richmond might not know her, but give me Sabrina Squire. Give me Sabrina Squire any day of the week over Barbara Wawa. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.